йду до нашої позиції.
Hi, Orest. I'm honored to speak with you today. I know that you worked for the police at the time of Russia's full-scale invasion, and you were not obligated for military service. What motivated you to enlist in the war?
Well, this is my country, and it's my home. I don't want anyone else to take it over. I stood up for my home. Initially, there was no fear because I already had practical experience with weapons, as did my fellow soldiers. Some of them were former police officers, members of the public forces, or in the military reserve. So we formed a separate battalion and didn't require any specific training. There was no fear until the first serious battles. But it's normal to feel afraid. There's a saying, if you're alive, death hasn't come yet. And of course, it depends on the individual's mental health, his attitude to war. It is scary.
What positions have you taken?
We started from northern Ukraine, drove the Russians out of Chernihiv region, then moved to the front line on the border with Russia, where we were holding defense and mining bridges. The next stop was the Donetsk region and the village on both banks of the Donetsk River. We were on one shore, another one was occupied by Russians. Actually, it was 60 meters away, constant shelling and chaotic one. They didn't care where to shoot. In 2 months, I had come under fire from a tank and I was seriously injured. The field hospital worked tirelessly to keep me alive, and I was later transferred to Lviv, where I underwent several surgeries on my back and leg. The primary mission of our hospitals is to save lives. For further treatment, I was sent to Germany to the Helios Clinic, where I got an additional 30 operations. They restructured my leg using bones from other parts of my body. Now, although I walk with crutches, I can still walk.
Thank God they saved your leg. One day in the war. What is it like?
It is incredibly difficult, mentally and emotionally draining. The constant shelling creates an overwhelming sense of uncertainty. In my position, I was aware that Russians could initiate attacks from 7 a.m. until around 9 to 10 a.m. During the brief 2-hour window of what we called silence, we rushed to the villages only intact well to fetch some water before the next shelling. There were occasions when we couldn't return in time and found ourselves under fire. I vividly recall instances when the mines fell just 50 meters away from me. In war, you can't always avoid such situations. As for my injury, as I was preparing to head to my position, I left the corridor. In a split second, I heard an explosion that threw me back. Upon falling, I saw my leg on the side, covered in blood. Well, in general, people get used to war and everything going around. And one more thing, when a mine flies, there is a distinctive sound. If it is not flying towards you, you can hear it, but when it is flying at you, you can't hear it. Then the explosion, and only your luck will determine whether you stay alive or not. I'm grateful to our Ukrainian surgeons that saved my life. I was bleeding a lot. My commander was very supportive and provided his car for my evacuation. We actually had a great relationship without any arrogance on his part. This is a war. Commander was with us the whole time, and that was something that kept us up.
What helps you to keep your spirits up in difficult situations?
Well, in difficult situations, you stop thinking altogether. The only thought is to save your life and the lives of fellow soldiers. We are constantly discussing our actions in different possible situations. War taught us to be adaptable and capable of doing anything. The better equipped you are, the better protected you become. There was a night when the hedgehog got caught in the bushes. Something rustles. You don't know what it is. You don't know what to expect. Or another funny story when I woke up the entire battalion because something was moving and glowing. The next day, it turned out to be a small dog.
Have you adopted the dog?
There were many pets in each position dogs, cats. They provided relief and helped to calm you down. In one of my positions, under a mine bridge, which I had to blow up in case of Russian attacks, a cat became attached to me and followed me around like a dog. As I walked, he followed, and when I stopped, he stopped.
That is understandable. In civilian life, we have a lot of other things that give relief, like we now drink coffee.
That's correct. Things are entirely different there. Making coffee is too complicated because any smoke or fire can be a target for an attack, disclosing your positions.
How did you cook then?
Usually, it was a packed lunch. Volunteers also played a significant role, and of course, we shared meals with each other. In such a situation, everyone is really supported.
Tell me about the trench you lived in.
Well, when we got there, it was just a hole. We finished it, bringing everything we could to protect ourselves from the ground and sand that came down from above. Even two carpets on the ground kept us relatively warm. When it rained, we scooped water out with buckets.
What lessons have you learned, and how has it impacted your future perspective?
Honestly, I wouldn't wish this experience to anyone. But if I had the physical opportunity, I'd go to war again.
Why? What inspires you?
My fellow soldiers who still remember me call me. The war brought people together in a very short period of time. Some of them I didn't know before, but they became like family. From the first day of the war, we were together 24/7, supporting each other. Unfortunately, some of them are no longer alive, and some are injured. I know the families of everyone, wives, parents. We all keep in touch.
How have your life values changed?
The values I had, I still have them. I'm a stubborn Ukrainian. This is my country. This is my home. The sense of security escalates, and the thirst for life becomes stronger.
What would you suggest to those who are in a difficult situation or don't see a way out?
There are no situations from which there is no escape. There is always a way out. Always. I had hard times when I got to the hospital with an injured leg and shoulder. I couldn't do anything. My right arm wasn't functional at all, and my leg was with screwed-in spokes. Thoughts that there was no way out were coming to my mind. The surgeons who operated on me were very good psychologists. They always talked to us, calmed us down, and of course, my family. When you have someone to live for, volunteers who visited us, all this support gave hope and strength. I also have iron nerves. If something happened, it's already happened. It is just what it is. I will find a solution. Everything will be all right. I think that everyone who was in the war has steel nerves.
Such a great thought. So first is to accept the reality and then to see a way out.
Right. There is no point worrying about what already happened. You can't change that. You need to think about a solution. Speaking of me, my arm wasn't functional at all and was pressed to my stomach. It's tough when you try to raise the arm and it falls. But if you want it to get better, you need to work on it yourself. Little by little, day by day, it will improve. I'm smoking, and in the hospital, the smoking room was 200 meters away. In order to get there in the wheelchair, I had to use both arms. Doctors joked if I didn't smoke, I wouldn't be walking yet. Of course, it is a very bad habit that I need to quit, but actually, it helped me to recover. I remember when I made 6 steps in the hospital room, then 8, then 15. It was a lot for me. Now I understand that it's not a big deal, but it was an achievement for me back then.
What do you dream about?
Come back home. Return to Ukraine. I can't do that until I've finished the treatment.
Thank you and all the military that Ukraine is alive and that we can dream of coming back.